Hello National University Academy students, National University CSET, social science students. My name is David Goyette, continuing our discussion of the growth of the Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire's growth is going to curb a bit as Tamerlane comes in and at the Battle of Ankara crushes the Ottomans. Tamerlane, as I was just saying earlier before I was cut off as I lost my YouTube connection with the internet, Tamer the Lame, is shot by an arrow and loses his leg or injures his leg. He therefore is lame. His name actually means Tamer the Lame. It will become just Tamerlane as he continues to succeed as a leader. You can go to Samarkand today and you can see where he sat and where he ruled in his throne. He's going to be preoccupied by China, and that's when Mahmed I is the first of four powerful sultans, is going to retake the initiative here to take over lands in Asia and in Europe and in Hungary and the Balkans. Mehmed I is going to take over and enlarge the Ottoman Empire. Then Mehmed II, M-E-H-M-E-D, he's known as the Conqueror. In 1453 he's going to take Constantinople, and of course it's going to become Istanbul. If you know the They Might Be Giants song, you're probably singing it in your head right now. It is an infectious tune. The conquest of Constantinople, I want to read a few things to you and then I'll get back to their progress as an enlarging empire. Mehmed's Turkish forces began firing on the city's walls with mighty cannons. One of these 26-foot guns that fired a 1,200-pound boulder, a chain across the Golden Horn between the Bosphorus Strait and the Sea of Marmara, kept the Turkish fleet on the city's harbor. Finally, one night, Mehmed's army tried a daring tactic. Now, think of Alexander the Great here. This is a big move, and when we study Alexander, we see him do just momentous things along the lines of military leaders just with immense projects in their attempts at conquest. They dragged 70 ships over a hill on greased runners from the Bosphorus to the harbor. Now Mehmed's army was attacking Constantinople from two sides. The city was held out for over 7 weeks, but the Turks finally found a break in the wall and entered the city. Mehmed the Conqueror, as he was now called, proved to be an able ruler as well as a magnificent warrior. Notice here, he opened Constantinople to new citizens of many religions and backgrounds. I'm going to come back to this point in a moment. Jews, Christians, Muslims, Turks, and non-Turks all flowed in. They helped rebuild the city, which was now called Istanbul. One quick account from the historian on site. After the Sultan entered the city, he looked about to see its great size, its situation, its grandeur, its beauty, its teeming population, its loveliness, and the costliness of its churches and public buildings, and of the private houses and community houses of those of the officials. When he saw what a large number had been killed, and the ruin of the buildings, and the wholesale ruin and destruction of the city, he was filled with compassion, and repented not a little at the destruction and plundering. Tears fell from his eyes as he groaned deeply and passionately. What a city we have given over to plunder and destruction. So obviously Mehmed, even though he's now destroyed this city, he recognizes its beauty and recognizes it as a jewel that he has conquered and can now revitalize. This is from the historian Kritovolos, K-R-I-T-O-V-O-U-L-O-S, History of Mehmed the Conqueror. So that's an interesting portion. You've probably heard of the Blue Mosque. If you haven't heard of the Blue Mosque, you've probably heard of the Hagia Sophia there in Turkey and in Constantinople. So let me turn to a picture of that. If you haven't seen the Blue Mosque before, I hope to get there someday. Where's that section on? I might have lost it because when I just set the book down, the pages flipped over, and I don't want to spend my whole time flipping pages for you. But nonetheless, if you've seen the Hagia Sophia, originally built by Constantine, it's going to be converted into a mosque, and then next to it the blue mosque is going to be built. Here it is. So if you can see it there, in the foreground you see the blue mosque, known for the blue tile on the inside, and then in the distance you can't see with the resolution here in this picture, but that's the Hagia Sophia in the background. So that's the Ottoman Empire gaining ground. Now we look to Selim the Grim, Ahmed's grandson, defeats the Safavids of Persia. He takes Mecca and Medina and Cairo, which is the intellectual center of Islam at the time, where where historians credit the origins in some ways of the European Renaissance, as people become more familiar with open heart surgery, or knowledge of the cardiovascular system, optics, eyeglasses, mathematics. Suleyman the Great, 1520, is going to rule for 46 years. He's known as the lawgiver by his people. He's often referred to in textbooks in your high schools and in your Western civilization textbooks as Suleyman the Magnificent. He conquers Belgrade in 1521. He conquers Tripoli. Only Charles V of the Habsburg dynasty was close to his power, but Suleyman was definitely the strongest and most powerful ruler at this time in history. He simplifies the tax system and limits taxes. He reduces government bureaucracy, and this creates opportunities for his people. His Devshirme gets a hold of drafted boys from the Christian territories and trains them. 30,000 of these soldiers are going to be known as the Janissaries or Janissaries. They're elites trained by the Sultan and for the Sultan to protect the Ottoman Empire. They become the heart of the Ottoman war machine. Because, and this comes back to my point on Mahmed II, when you flip through your Quran, if you don't have a Quran or a Bible, great thing to have both of those on hand, just to flip through and get a sense of how this history is being made and how it's relevant. Open up and read the passages, because the Wahhabism that we hear of today in Islam doesn't tell the whole story of Islam, of course. It is only one interpretation of Islam. So when people think of Osama bin Laden and some of this conservative puritanical form of Islam, they miss the history of Islam, most especially the Millet System. The Millet System that was created under Suleyman said that all Christians, Jews, Turks, and non-Turks could rule or could worship their own religion in their own way. They were taxed, but they weren't conscripted. Muslims were conscripted to join the military. Obviously, there were times when there was persecutions, but that was certainly the case in Christian history as well, if not more so, where we see in Catholics requiring people to adhere to Christian belief, to be either expelled or died. And of course, in 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella are going to throw everybody out who isn't a Christian in their nation, Spain. So I'm going to pause here, get back to you more about the Ottoman Empire. Thank you for listening in, and good luck with your CSET studies.